I'm Kirby.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Warren.
And this is the Real Gamerscore podcast. We are your source for Xbox achievement news, Gamerscore tips, and the last minute crunch. This week we talk about Ghost Recon, I think, Mortal Wombat, and loot boxes. Oh my! But first, here's the song of the week.
I got my first 360, bought it from the local store, played it for the stories then, now I only play for score. Me and my LAN buddies used to meet up to play Halo. Iceman quit, Stonewall got married, now I only play for Gamerscore.
I mean, so are you, Matt, because I'm lost.
Oh yeah, that's a real hard one. I'm pretty sure it was summer of '69. God, what's this thing's name again? I had it right in my head, and now I'm just
Brian.
Yeah, Brian Adams, right?
Yeah,
You got it.
Yeah, Brian Adams. Yeah. Everything I do,
yeah, because
I do for Gamerscore.
That's it.
I mean,
yeah,
it's true.
Warren sent the lyrics to me, and I was like, "These are the people you're talking about." I'm like, I don't know who these people are. What? These are not my Halo buddies. I don't play Halo. What's this nonsense? So, wouldn't have been real fitting if I sang it, because it wouldn't have made sense to me, let alone anyone else.
Yeah.
All right.
Go on. You'll have that.
Sorry. Yeah. So, as you can tell, Alex isn't here tonight, and that's why we're completely disorganized and all out of sorts, because this is my show again. You remember what happened last time it was my show, so you buckle your seatbelts, we're in for a wild ride. First, I would like to mention, if you would like to join the Discord and join in the conversation, or just lurk, honestly, that's fine too. I don't have a problem with lurkers. I'm not going to call you out. You can lurk. I remember my first Discord, I lurked for probably a month before I chat. That's fine. Get a feel of the situation and how stupid we all are, then jump in when you're ready. Or not ready. Whatever. No problem. That's discord.io/realgamerscore. Come and join in. It's tons of fun to watch, tons of fun to talk, all that other stuff. For contests, we have the random to-do list giveaway. This month, the month of May, we are giving away a ton of Ratalaika games. I don't have the count off the top of my head. It's probably 5 or 6 at this point. Just everything I've stockpiled from the last month, because they've been doing sort of once a week or one every fortnight at a crazy pace. So it's a large amount of codes that I've got. So to have a chance to win that giant prize of bundle of games that are all relatively easy game score, you need to unlock an achievement in your random to-do list for the month of May and send the answer to the question, name another game with the word sister in the title. This is referencing the most recent to come out Ratalaika game, My Big Sister, so you can't use that one. There are a few titles, a couple titles on True Achievements who have the name Sister, so it shouldn't be too difficult to find. But send the answer to that to the random to-do list account on True Achievements. And if you would like to be added to the random to-do list contest, or to get a list for the month, just send myself a message on Discord or True Achievements, or send a friend request or message to the random to-do list account on True Achievements. Tonight, again, just like last week, we have Matt on. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you for having me back again.
Yeah, not a problem. And we always introduce our special guest, but we always forget to introduce our special regular guest, Warren. How you doing, Warren?
Doing pretty good tonight.
That's good, because you are a special guest, special regular guest. Already. It started already. It's happening, guys. There are no tracks where we're going.
Chid, we started on such a high point. How could you do this to us?
Look, it's the pressure of hosting. I don't know what to say to the people to make them believe that I'm good at this job. We've got a few news stories. Nothing there's probably one major story that's probably going to get most of the talking, but a couple little things. We didn't get a chance last week to talk about Gameloft bringing Xbox Live features, including achievements to 3 of their titles that are on iOS and Android. Those are Asphalt 8, Asphalt 9, and Dragon Mania Legends. All 3, unless you're willing to pay, have completion estimates of upwards of 200 hours, which I think Dragon Mania has 400 or so, and Asphalt 8 is like 500 as a conservative estimate.
Yikes.
So, yeah, pretty long games. You excited to get some more iOS games utilizing the Xbox Live features and getting achievements, Matt?
I'm going to go with no. Just for me personally, I did dip into the whole Windows Phone thing back when the Windows 8 phones originally came out and got really badly burnt on, a lot of them being delisted or not completable or really glitchy. And ever since then, I've always been a bit iffy about getting into the mobile space again. However, the games should be fine. I think Asphalt's had a few previous releases on Windows Phone, so there's no reason why it can't be good now. But those completion times, oof. That's a hard ask. On the one hand, I'm kind of glad that they're big, grindy ones, because if they start releasing Ratalaika games on phones, then suddenly I'm going to have to own a bunch of different devices.
Yeah, have to.
Yeah, no, literally
Not
have
by
to.
choice.
No,
Yeah.
there is no choosing.
Warren, you played any of these before?
Yeah, and I'm actually a little sour about that because, for instance, Dragon Mania you can't even play anymore. So, do I really love the prospect of buying it yet again on a different platform just to be able to get more achievements that Gameloft is not so stellar at keeping working? No, I'm good with this. Not really excited.
Yeah, it's a concern to me that the first company to jump on this offer was Gameloft.
Yeah, not a good sign.
Gameloft or Game Troopers, either one would have been bad, really. Although I don't think Game Troopers is as bad, but I know some of their stuff is horribly broken.
I thought Gameloft at one point went so far to state that they were no longer going to make live-enabled games because they were sick of fixing achievements or people complaining about them.
You see, the problem there is that they have a New Zealand office, so I just go there and bug them all the time, so eventually they just gave in.
Yeah, I guess maybe iOS is easier. It's easier to push out updates for iOS and Android than it would be for a Windows Phone, which I assume would have to go through slightly more rigorous checks, given that there is achievement functionality. So I'm not sure how much hand Xbox will have in monitoring those kind of updates now that iOS stuff is coming onto their platform, their achievement platform. Whether they're gonna, I doubt they're gonna be checking it much, really.
I'm not sure what kind of involvement they would have, really. It's interesting because obviously the ecosystems are so separate, and intentionally so, that whatever oversight they might have would probably be pretty limited by what Apple tells them can or can't happen, right?
Yeah. I just don't see Apple letting Microsoft in to see all that stuff to check that things are okay. Apple are just kind of no, this is our area. We'll let you know if stuff doesn't fly. Mm. Yeah. Also, floodgates are opening. If these do well, this is possibly a bad sign of stuff to come. Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. If good stuff is coming, I'm happy to play it on my phone and buy it on my phone and get achievements. But if it's the kind of stuff, the sort of titles we got on Windows Phone that were the free-to-play 7,000-hour games, didn't quite work, things didn't go as planned, then this is a foreboding sign.
Either way, I might hit my million Gamerscore on one of them if they come out with enough of them, so...
Yeah.
You know what I'm kind of hoping for is I want them to port the ACA Neo Geo collection to iOS and Steam.
Yeah, that'd be a great fit for that, to be honest. I mean, they could do that with quite a few of the little sort of cheap indie Xbox Live ID games and that sort of stuff. There are quite a few good fits. I mean, there was sort of the discussion when Windows Phone started coming out with games, everyone was thinking, oh, they'll just port over arcade titles. And then what ended up happening is that they took arcade titles, made them even simpler, and then just chucked them on there with massive grinds and currencies.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll see what the future holds for us in terms of these types of games, but fingers crossed quality over quantity. I doubt it, but fingers crossed.
We can only hope.
Yeah. Okay, next up, there's a new Ghost Recon coming, and it's adding survival mechanics. Which just... I'm never a big fan of survival mechanics when it just comes... Like, when it gets to the point where you're just babysitting some meters.
Which is kind of what this sounds like reading some of the previews. It's like, oh, well, you need to look up for your health and your, like, a hunger and thirst meter.
Yeah.
And I kind of get what they're going for, because obviously you want to go for the new hotness. But the problem was that the survival game hotness was like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, they're way, way behind the curve. They should be doing
Recon's...
Go ahead, Warren.
Okay, Ghost Recon just doesn't strike me as like a survival-esque game. It's always been a shooter. Like, just kind of shoehorning in survival mechanics at this point in the series just is odd.
People always joke about how Ubisoft essentially make the same game with a different skin on it, and the sort of Tom Clancy games tend to be a little bit outside of that. But if you look at Ghost Recon, which started as a mission-based tactical sort of military shooter, third person, which then became an open world game, and then is becoming an open world game with survival elements, with an always online connection, and other things that just make me scratch my head thinking, how much, like, they really are just trying to essentially just recreate, they're trying to make Division in the mountains, aren't they?
Yeah, it's...
Ghost Recon 76.
Exactly. Oh. A lot of reused assets. Yeah, no, actually, I can see it.
If we put dragons in, we're done.
Yeah, exactly. I'm out.
So they do, I mean, not that it's much of a comparison, the Twitter did say, Breakpoint being the new title of the game, Ghost Recon Breakpoint will require an active internet connection like The Division and Rainbow Six Siege. So they already kind of align themselves with The Division. So they say it has enhanced stealth gameplay, new story, new enemies with improved AI, new close quarters combat finishes, a variety of classes, and several difficulty levels. One was persistent progression between the PvP and PvE game modes. So that, assuming you're not having like a separate menu where you have your multiplayer and your single player, that's pretty much The Division.
I was going to say, where they have an area in the middle called the Shady Zone that you go in and fight other dudes.
Yeah, because it's the mountains either side of it are covering it in shade. So it's
it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I'm always sour about Ghost Recon because of Graw, but I mean, Wildlands was apparently a pretty good game. I bought it with the Gold Edition when it was on sale ages ago and never got around to playing it, but I've heard good things about messing about. I mean, it'd probably be a good thing for a community night to get people together for, but this sounds like it's kind of going in a weird direction.
Yeah, this, as you said, it doesn't feel like the kind of thing you would expect from a Ghost Recon game. Like it
it's like
it's the trend.
It's like they're seeing how good like The Last of Us and other games like that are doing, and they're like, you know what? If we could kind of get a little bit of that in here, I mean, the only thing they haven't done yet is make it a 50 versus 50 game.
I was going to joke that the best thing they could do really is just basically make it Fortnite.
Only if they go all colorful like Fortnite.
50 really ghosts versus 50 recons.
Yeah, solo co-op or competitive modes. Trying to see if there's anything else about anything major. No. Oh, they've got their collector's edition ready to go already.
I think I'm going to hold out till they do the MOBA edition, considering they're looking at trends from 5 to 6 years ago.
Plus, you get three early days of play. So,
Wait, 3?
yeah, that you play it 3 days earlier than the plebs.
When did that ever become a selling point? I don't remember.
Yeah,
I think that's EA's fault for the most part, although Ubisoft have never been good about it either, considering they tend to sell 10 to 15 versions of a game when it comes out. I mean, just look at Odyssey.
yeah. So, and they do love their play it slightly earlier, pay more to play it slightly earlier, when really it's don't pay it to play it later than it would normally be out.
Yeah, basically, if you give us enough money, we'll force the rest of the world to wait for this game.
And what they say is a year one pass. So essentially the season pass, but making it very clear there are going to be multiple seasons, and you will have to pay multiple passes worth of content.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Wildlands, although a bit later. Although I think they released a second year pass, but I don't know if there's actually any achievement content or any content out for it at all. To be honest, I haven't seen anything.
We'll find more out at E3 though, but the small amount of Wildlands I have enjoyed. I don't. I mean, I'm not obviously far enough to know whether it needs a sequel or. But I mean, it's enjoyable offline gameplay. I'm sure it'd be fine in co-op. I don't see how a competitive mode would work in a persistent world. Because, yeah, it just feels like you spend... And I'm sure you can spend money to make your single-player character really buff and then take it into PvP if it's persistent.
And then lose to someone who spent $100 on their edition.
Yep. Alright. Do you guys like movies? You guys all watch movies, right?
I have heard of these movies you speak of.
Occasionally.
The non-interactive game things.
Video game movies, those are always good, right?
Yeah. Especially when they're properties that have so much story and depth and so much gameplay variety that you could do anything with them, like the Mortal Kombat series. You can punch someone or kick them or jump and punch them.
Yeah,
endless possibilities.
I think I saw a Mortal Kombat movie. That's just where they just show all the fatalities back to back on YouTube, right? For like an hour.
That's a thing, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Now I have to watch it.
It's actually pretty good. I was kidding, but it is actually, like, if you can't be bothered actually playing the game, but it's pretty gory and great to see all the stuff.
Okay, so all this has led to a Mortal Kombat movie has started, or at least is proposed to be filmed in Australia, in South Australia to be specific. Why you would film there, I don't know, because people have to have downtime and there's nothing to do in Adelaide, so that's just going to be sitting around twiddling their thumbs. So
what role are you and Alex going to be playing? Are you playing Kano?
I am. That's definitely a character in Mortal Kombat. I am going to be the pink girl with the mask, the pink Power Ranger.
The pink.
Was it Malika?
It's like
the one with the scary mouth?
Don't. Sure. I know Sub-Zero and Scorpion,
Sonya.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Sonya, yes. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you couldn't be any worse than Ronda Rousey was in 11, so...
Wait, what? Did she voice act or something?
Yeah, Ronda Rousey's voice actor is the voice actress for Sonya Blade in the 11th game that just came out.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently
Maybe.
The performance not so great.
Maybe she'll reprise her role in this film.
There's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
And I take umbrage with your making fun of the Mortal Kombat story, all right? The Mortal Kombat story is an absolute mess, but is actually quite interesting. It could probably be made into a pretty decent movie. I mean, have you
The
seen that?
story's fine. I know the story's well done. It's the gameplay that I was trying to make fun of.
I mean, there is that too. A lot of babalities and amalities. Actually, you know
There's
what?
so much
I'm back on
jump
board.
kicking you can fit into a film.
Wait, do they actually ever do babalities and animalities in the movies? I don't remember that.
I don't think so. Maybe, I mean,
Is
they
this-
definitely didn't in the
what?
first one, and that's the only one worth watching. I know that Armageddon, the second one, was an absolute nightmare.
Agreed.
Heck is a babality?
It's where they turn the enemy into a baby. I know, Mortal Kombat. Do you know also Mortal Kombat used to have a kart racer hidden in one of their games? And Mortal Kombat Ping Pong? I know.
What?
Oh,
Combat ping pong.
Chin's learning
How-
all kinds of stuff about video game history here today.
How would Mortal Kombat ping pong work?
That's right. Look at it after the show. It's definitely worth a look. They actually hid a lot of stuff in their games, not just Noob Saibot.
Okay, and what's an animality?
That's where you turn into an animal.
But why?
And then some of them, you also have friendships where you actually just make friends with the person.
So, as a finishing move,
Yeah, basically, yeah. You just like you shake hands,
So-
high five.
you've just pummeled them, and then you're like, jokes.
I mean,
Really?
now that you've said that, actually makes perfect sense why they're filming in Australia, because that's pretty much Australian culture, right? Beating each other up until you're friends.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was going to saying I can't say that on air.
Not without a big cat jingle.
They're gonna
Yeah.
have to add that Tekken fighting Joey character then.
Oh yeah.
They
Hey,
are.
I watched a crossover movie. That's fine. they're gonna start the Mortal Kombat cinematic universe.
Roger, that's his name. Roger the Kangaroo. That's the least Australian sounding name. Roger. It's Roger.
Scorpion's gonna defeat Sub-Zero at the end of the movie, and then Hayachi's gonna turn up and put him into the defenders. Oh, I can't even finish that thought.
Finish him.
Alright. So, interesting segue. Wolfenstein devs are trying to eliminate crunch, which, and I mentioned this before we recorded, just kind of seems like the new we don't have loot boxes thing. Like, yes, it's a good thing that if they're trying to do this, thing that shouldn't happen in the first place. But, yeah, it just kind of feels like hey guys, we don't have loot boxes, we're really awesome, good PR, as opposed to, we're just a good company, we don't need to flaunt that we're doing the right thing for our employees.
I mean, obviously, if they didn't have a game coming out soon, they wouldn't be talking about this, right? I mean, the new Wolfenstein looks interesting, but it is nice to know that they're being, basically decent human beings and treating their workers at least not awfully in a way that could be recorded on the internet and then get lambasted about.
Yeah. When did Wolfenstein 2 come out?
I don't know. Look for when I started screaming about the Mein Leben achievement.
2017. Okay, late 2017.
Yeah.
So it's been 18 months, give or take. Because this new one coming out, Youngblood... Is it Youngblood? Yeah, Youngblood. Is a budget version. It's $30 so it's not a full-fledged game. And I'm wondering how much work just as a game, how much work you put into when you know you're offering it at a cheaper price. Is the world going to be the same as the Wolfenstein 2 world, in kind of the same way how Far Cry has its spin-offs
Sure.
that you reutilize those assets?
Yeah, it's obviously a bit of an asset work, which makes sense because there's no point making all the stuff they did with Wolfenstein 2 not to reuse it for something else. The story looks quite interesting, and I'm sure they're going to do quite a bit of work on it, considering I think it's set in the 80s with BJ's twins. So I don't know, it looks like it'll be a whole different thing, but how long it is, it'll probably be reminiscent of what they did with Old Blood, for example. But yeah, I mean, maybe they don't do crunch because they just don't need to do crunch because it's a shorter game.
or I don't know, actually figure out how much time you really need to develop it, as opposed to going, okay, we need to do this in 6 months. All right, we have 5 months to do it. Wait, no.
What do you mean 4 months? When did I say that you needed 3 months?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, back on that crunch, they said, we've built a policy over the last 12 months and we're putting in a lot of effort to stick to it, even if that makes life for us in management more difficult from a business perspective sometimes. Which, yeah, it just means your employees go home early and you maybe are slightly concerned about deadlines, but we've spoken a lot about crunch on this podcast. People are just not... People's efficiency drops to nothing after like a 50-hour week. 50 hours is pretty much your cap, and then after that, people, like, they just don't work. They can't function properly in that... You know, they still do stuff, but they're just not as efficient. They're not as capable after 50 hours.
You're actually relying on people to basically tidy up a project when mentally they're exhausted. I mean, it's one thing if you're in robot mode, just kind of like doing the same thing over and over and over. But it's another thing if you're trying to read code, fix things, get things patched.
Yeah.
You're not going to remember everything. You're going to start forgetting things, overlooking things when you're just that mentally exhausted. So yeah, that's probably why we have day one patches now.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about video games is that, I mean, not to get too waffly and pretentious, but video games are a technical achievement as well as a piece of art, right? You need to have some sort of creativity and actual, awareness to be able to build something like that. And, getting everyone on 50, 60-hour work weeks and just completely draining them of everything they have, it doesn't sound like the kind of place that you get the best video games from. Even if you get them out the door on time, what is the cost?
Yeah, it's tough to talk about because it is used in such a exploitative way. I don't want to be like saying these are terrible people because they force you to crunch. They're just maybe not managing well. Not managing both the scope of the game, not managing the time of their employees, maybe getting them to sit on specific things for too long. Maybe the microtransactions don't need 200 hours as opposed to the physics engine making sure it works. It's not really the right thing to say crunch is always the fault of management, but you don't need to crunch if you are on track well and things are being managed well.
Yeah, it's I guess the way you probably put it is that management isn't necessarily to blame for crunch all the time, but they are often responsible for the culture that leads to things like that happening or needing to happen.
Yeah.
But there's so many moving parts when it comes to video games, when it comes to publishers and developers and coders and management, that sort of stuff, that it's no wonder it's an absolute mess.
Yeah. Huge teams don't necessarily make things easier. It's just more fingers getting into things and possibly stuffing something up where only one person knows what's going wrong because they're the ones that stuffed it up. I'm the one that took away a comma and no one else can find that because there's 1,200 lines of code and they're trying to find a missing comma.
And then also, I've been let go, so now I can't tell anybody about that comma.
Yeah, that too.
I was on a 3-month contract and they didn't renew it because they said I was late once.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. So, anyway, more horrible business practices, loot boxes and pay-to-win microtransactions.
Yeah.
More specifically, Senator Josh Hawley, who is a Republican in the state of Mo,
Mo.
Warren, you want to help me out, buddy?
Pretty sure
This
that's
is-
Montana, but I'm not 100%.
Montana, there.
I was going to say, the
Okay,
state of Mo, I mean, I didn't realize they were into cute anime girls as much as I was over there.
Missouri, apparently.
Nope, it is Missouri. Wow.
Now I have to find out what the Montana...
It's going to be MN then.
Yeah, MT.
Oh, Jesus, what's... Oh, MN is Minnesota.
would be MN?
We have too many M states. Yep.
Yep. Tangent aside, the senator for Missouri announced a bill that would ban loot boxes and pay-to-win microtransactions in games. This says games played by minors. I initially heard it as games marketed and targeted towards children. Games played by minors is a lot broader.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially anything that doesn't have an R18 label.
Which in the US is nothing because retailers don't sell anything with an R18 label on it.
Yeah, that's pretty much all games. Which now reading this article, if the wording here is correct, that makes me slightly more concerned than I was previously, because microtransactions in a game targeted to kids or marketed to kids is very different to them in a game that kids play. That's everything.
Yeah,
Well,
I
and this
suppose.
is-
Yeah. Oh, Warren, you go ahead.
This is kind of like a fallacy of trying to legislate a way to fix this loot box problem by people that don't actually understand even how they work. So we've got a senator going, oh my god, this is horrible. This is such a big problem. We need to work on this. We need to stop this. But since they don't play the games, they don't realize what this suggestion would do to the gaming industry. What they should probably do is simply have them, if you're going to have this kind of a loot box system or this kind of a pay-to-win scheme in your game, we're going to slap a gambling label on it, and it's going to force you into a teen rating. If they did something along those lines, much, much better. It would regulate the industry in a different way, and it wouldn't be like, no, you can't have that game because you have a loot box in it. Whereas if you just called it gambling, like it is, and then it would get a teen rating or a higher rating than it may have normally, that's still going to punish the game developer in a way that they're going to have to think about how they want to implement their game.
The problem is that you run into the golden mean fallacy, because if slapping a teen rating on it does sound like the best solution, but people are going to argue that, well, we don't say teen is obviously such a wide berth that when it comes to gambling in the US especially, they're so tight around where you need to, what kind of age you need to be, around 18, 20, 21, is that we'll end up at that. Eventually it'll have to end up at that R18. It's like, well, if it has gambling in it, it has to be an adult-only game. And I just can't see that happening, or at least not without, the game industry fighting tooth and nail to prevent it from ever getting across.
I mean, if they force them into an adult-only rating, that is a kiss of death, because you will never find an adult-only rated game ever.
Exactly.
Yeah. The game that was brought up was Candy Crush, which is run by King, who are owned by Activision Blizzard. Though they just say Activision in this article. That's indicative of how they feel about it. As an egregious example of pay-to-win microtransactions, thanks to its $214 luscious bundle that comes with a whole bunch of goodies. Now, my argument for that is, how many kids do you know that play Candy Crush, as opposed to parents who are playing Candy Crush and, without being offensive, typically an older generation who are, these casual games are more appealing to. These match 3 type games just appeal more to an adult than it does the kid who's gonna be playing, PUBG on their phone for whatever reason.
Sure.
I know of a few people in like their 20s or maybe even early 30s that play that kind of match 3 stuff.
Yeah.
It's still bright and colourful because, just because it's always been bright and colourful. I think they have drastically changed who they're marketing at. Like, ads I see for it on TV, because there are TV ads for it, crazily enough, are usually not in like on kid channels or kid time slots. It's usually that the later evenings on boring channels that parents watch, you know, like the Food Channel. I mean, and not saying we shouldn't be cracking down on this, but just the way they're going about it isn't probably the smartest. Like, what they're hitting on just shows that they don't know what they're on about. Like,
I'm not a big fan of the wringing your hands, think of the children sort of approach to most things, because honestly, children are usually okay. It's more the adults I'm worried about. And this is probably
think of the adults that don't understand
exactly that's
what
more
their kids are doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's more what I'm worried about. And this kind of ties back to the conversation we had last week about game designers changing things in their games to incentivize microtransactions, right? And that's kind of where I'm worried about this thing, where if you change the game enough to get, you know, your whales and dolphins, the term that they use for people who spend huge amounts of money or relatively large amounts of money on in-game currencies. If you change the game to make enough money off of those, then the games themselves suffer, and then it doesn't even matter what the other 98% of people do, because you've made all the money on a tiny, tiny fraction of people. So, but the problem is that in America especially, there's no way you can legislate against, you know, the freedom to do whatever you want with your money within reason. So I really feel like this U.S. senator bringing this up, the only way that they would even get it to be discussed would be to essentially, you know, say, think of the children and make it a child-focused piece of legislation, and say, okay, well, these people are vulnerable, and these are children who can't act for themselves. And even if they aren't usually the people it's actually targeting, in order to get legislation like this passed, at least as far as I can tell, that would be the best way to do it. Because if you go out there and say, actually, no, we should just ban them in all video games because people with addictions, and there are people who don't understand how much they're spending, a bunch of people are going to say, well, it's my civil liberty to be able to spend all of my rent money on this stupid game.
The only other way that they could do this is just go through the gambling laws, because so many states have very, very tight gambling laws. And if they wanted to try to approach it in that manner, although that would be harder to do federally, because it's typically been a state selected, like the states choose how they want to do their gambling and whether they want to have a state sanctioned, or if they want to have you be able to do it online or not. So that's going to be harder for them to legislate that way.
Yeah, in all fairness, though, if one or two states do it, then essentially it'll be de facto for the rest of the country, because there's no way that EA is going to put loot boxes in just California, but not anywhere else, or the other way around.
Yeah, that's
it's like, there's no way. Eventually they'll just say, screw it, we'll just take them out.
The problem is...
So the name of the bill... Oh, sorry, Warren.
If we're going to get them to get rid of loot boxes and these pay-to-win mechanics, what comes up next? What's the next way to get our money out of us?
I mean, they could maybe release finished games and charge an appropriate amount for them.
That's not.
I know. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm in dreamland here.
More than happily pay more for a game to have it not. I was going to talk about something else. Now I'm annoyed at the games are too expensive to make argument, because when a company makes record profits, I think when the discussion of loot boxes being gambling in Europe was being talked about, and it was the FIFA stuff, that they had mentioned something about, probably to their shareholders, that even without the loot boxes in XX countries, we will still make a killing. It's fine. We won't make more of a killing. We'll still be raking in money. When you can say that about your game without it needing loot boxes, then games are not too expensive to make. You are clearly making enough money on the game alone.
Or the countries that remain there's enough whales to cover the water.
Yeah,
you only need one whale. That's all you need.
It's kind of true. It's kind of true, actually.
The whales make up such a small percentage of population that
But yeah,
losing a country's worth of whales is nothing.
exactly.
You've lost 2 people.
When you have people like Bobby Kotick getting massive bonuses, when and their games are potentially still selling under expectations of people losing their jobs, it's like, what's going on? I mean, we all know what's actually going on, but when the companies come out and say, well, we need to charge this because we don't make enough money on our video games, it just really sounds like they don't get all. They're getting some of the money, but not all of the money, and suddenly
So it's not enough.
It's not enough, yeah, and it just feels really, really disingenuous.
Yeah. So just back on the bill, because I'd try and keep this on the in a straight line. They're very aggressively going after that kids targeting line, because the bill is called the Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act. So it's very much in that save the kids kind of model. And then the article then goes on about something that I feel like the article itself doesn't even know what they're talking about, because they say the bill will also likely apply to Fortnite, but that doesn't have loot boxes or pay to win microtransactions.
It does have loot boxes?
No, you buy V-Bucks and buy the skins. You have a battle pass, but there's no loot box, like randomized
in
item
Fortnite,
generator.
Not Fortnite, the one everyone plays. In the other
Fortnite Save the World.
Save the World.
In regular
there
one.
are loot boxes in Save the World.
See, no one knows that because no one ever plays that section.
True.
No child's ever been affected by that because they've never left Battle Royale.
Well, yeah, because you actually have to buy the other Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's money involved.
I see. And then you've got the loot boxes in the paid side.
Yeah, no, it's this industry is heading for a very interesting place, and I'm just sitting here with my popcorn waiting to figure out what the hell's going to go on.
Yeah. So I think the 2 main counter arguments to this moving forward is it's the parents' responsibility to not let their kids do whatever, which, whilst fair, how many parents really understand the games and understand loot boxes in a way that they can make a educated, judged decision, as opposed to just, it's $10, it's $20, that's fine, take it, go crazy, that's fine, whatever, not knowing the kinds of effects it could have on kids. At a young age, hitting those gambling triggers, the lovely dopamine hits and the flashy lights and pretty sounds that release all those good feelings.
As we well know.
But I could have an epic skin. Mom, I need another 5.
Yeah, exactly. Hit me. Come on, I'm good for it. No, I mean, obviously, we want to talk about Skinner boxes. We all know all too much about how they work and how effective they are. And, we're allegedly adults, so...
Yeah, it's we all know how that model works in drip feeding you pretend rewards for what your actions are. The other one is that, if you allow the government to start here, how you're essentially setting precedent for the government to take further steps into this industry and have more control. Which I get. I honestly feel like outside of election campaign windows, the government can't be bothered with games. They don't care enough.
Yeah, exactly.
When they're not running for re-election or to get elected in the first place, and then by the time they get elected, they're in. That's fine. It's done. Whatever. I don't care. I feel like that's how it would go should this go forward.
Realistically, I don't see too much enforcement or too much changing. I mean, if they get the bill and suddenly they have to classify loot boxes as gambling and either take them out or classify them in video games, they'll either change it, so either video games will take them out and do something or probably just as bad somewhere else to get money, or it'll just never be enforced and no one will ever talk about it ever again.
Let's just go back to horse armor. I mean, that worked great.
Oh, that was, yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I remember those halcyon days when we pointed at Osama and laughed and thought, who would pay $5 for something that goes in a video game that does literally nothing?
We were wrong.
Those were the days.
And then that same company came
all
up with
downhill
Fallout
from there.
76. The whole game did nothing.
Paid $60 to do nothing.
Hey, you got to battle a cool dragon that you did in Skyrim.
Which Skyrim? I own many versions of Skyrim.
It's on the
I'm
Switch,
fairly
right?
certain they're all the same, aren't they?
I mean,
Unless you
I
got
don't know.
do you have the refrigerator version? That one doesn't.
PlayStation 3 version is very different and so broken.
I did play the Alexa version. That was good. Eat all the cheese.
It's probably fixed on out. I feel like the PlayStation 3 version is still so broken that if you have too many saves, the game just stops working.
But isn't that just like typical of that kind of game? I mean, my Fallout game, it's got like several hundred hours in it. There's certain places I can't even go. Like, the world is broken. Things fall from the sky. I walk into geometry. They don't like when you play them for too many hours and open too many things.
Yeah, maybe it bricked your console. Can't remember. I know it had really... No, I remember it had really serious ramifications.
That's ridiculous. It bricks your box.
Are you thinking of Fallout New Vegas? I think it was.
No, it was definitely Skyrim that I had on my PlayStation that broke things.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, Fallout New Vegas had all kinds of other issues. Love that game.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I learned quickly to save constantly.
Okay. Loot boxes, microtransactions, bad. Hopefully, the gaming industry will just do it themselves without having to have the government step in, but probably not. And this is the life we live in now.
I mean,
it's the world we have.
Best case scenario, this scares them enough to maybe do something for a little bit, and the next few years we get some good games, and then it just goes back to being all, microtransactions and opening a wallet.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's all the lovely news we have. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And I will totally remember what we're doing next instead of paying attention to Discord. Ha 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 ha. I didn't just get tagged and get distracted.
Well, if you stop reviewing your Discord...
Yeah, we are reviewing... Well, myself and Warren reviewed Glass Masquerade. You'll be hearing that right now.
Hello and welcome to another one of our reviews. My name is Planting, and I am joined by he who must not be forgotten. That would be ChinDocta himself.
How's it going, everyone?
So this week we did a different game. This is not a style of game I think I've ever kind of played before, and I'm honestly glad we did this. We played Glass Masquerade. The game was published by Digerati and developed by Onyx Loot. It was released on the 8th of February, 2019, and is currently on the marketplace for $11.99. It is a puzzle genre because, yeah, you are literally putting together stained glass puzzles.
Yeah. There's no real story to it, but I guess essentially you're making a bunch of different themed clocks with stained glass.
And it's kind of interesting that the theme of each, because you're making 25 different puzzles that represent 25 different countries, and each of them has its own theme, which is kind of related to the country itself. Some of them I'm not really sure of the linking, perhaps, but I'm sure if I dug a little more into it, I'd understand why they chose that particular picture. It's like a 4 to 5 hour completion. Nothing really, really crazy. There's a couple things about the gameplay that honestly make it more difficult than it really is. And once you kind of learn how the game itself plays, you'll probably find yourself cruising through it.
Yeah, there's a few sort of little quality of life things that they could make adjustments with just to make the game work a little bit better. So your pieces are on essentially 4 different wheels, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. but it sort of shows maybe 5 or 6 pieces on each wheel, and you might need to scroll through to find the piece you need. Scrolling the furthest left wheel will cause the furthest right wheel to scroll, but the pieces are independent of each other. So maybe you have 10 pieces on the left side, there's 10 separate pieces on the right side. It just scrolls as well for whatever reason.
Exactly. So if you think you're missing a piece, you probably are. Keep scrolling the sides until they stop, because you'll notice you'll notice like different pieces again. Like, oh hey, I remember this one. It's not like you're going to see them rolling around the other side like I completely expected with the way the animation shows them rotating. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's on a wheel at first and going around completely like that.
I guess one of the other slightly troublesome issues was the orientation of the pieces when they're in those wheels is going to throw you off. The best you can do is try to use the representation of the puzzle piece for its overall shape and sort for the kinds of shapes that you're looking for. And once you grab the piece, assuming you don't change any settings in the game, it'll orient itself properly and you can go, oh, okay, so now this is a piece with a flat side, but it goes vertically, not horizontally. I want a different one. And then you can sort through again until you find the ones you want.
Yeah. The perspective when you select pieces gets a little bit odd because the piece will zoom in towards you. So often it'll look a lot larger than the space it's fitting into. So that can throw you off a bit. The other thing I had trouble with was sometimes I'd pick up a piece that, might have been a perfect shape essentially. And I had, oh, cool, thanks, alarm. I had no sense of where this piece would fit into the puzzle because there might have been a section slightly underneath separate from the main part of the puzzle where it would fit. And I just didn't realize that was part of it.
Exactly. It's kind of odd, but for some reason, some of the design elements of the frames themselves are actually part of the puzzle. So, yeah, there's that to kind of think of as well when you're trying to put these pieces in place.
Yeah, once you've seen it a few times, you pick it up pretty quick. But I remember there was a puzzle with a perfect triangle, like a gigantic upside down triangle. And I'm like, I honestly have no idea how this is going to fit at all. It doesn't, I sort of put it right in the middle of the frame thinking it might go there because you can sort of place pieces into the spots they go, whether or not there's like a gap for them. As long as there's, you get them sort of in the general area, it'll go, even if there's sort of nothing else around it that would indicate it should go there. So I kept trying to put this triangle puzzle piece in for a long time. And then realized it's a gigantic triangle space at the very bottom of the frame underneath the main part. And I felt really dumb for not realizing sooner.
Nah, I don't think it's your fault. I definitely was stumped on probably the same puzzle. I remember I had some chevron pieces, and I'm like, where are these going to fit? They're perfectly angles. Nothing else is going to let me place these things with them. And then it's like, oh, they fit down here. Okay. So there's that. The difficulty rating is also a little odd. It seems, I think, that the rating is simply based off of the piece count, although I could be wrong. Because...
yeah, that's what it seemed to be as well for me. It was just, regardless of how actually tough the puzzle was in terms of its shape or the I don't know, size of the pieces. It was just the number of pieces.
Yeah. And truly, I this could just be for me, but I found the round framed puzzles to be the hardest because it was harder to match into the background of something. Because I was always thinking it was a frame piece I was working with, and no, it was actually some other internal piece that they've also have rounded edges. So
yeah. Because, the logic is to start with the edges and work your way in, but there were a lot of pieces that had that sort of, that rounded edge that would just go in the middle and throw you off like that.
So I guess overall, graphically, really good looking game. The effect of the stained glass, window clocks was really good. It's kind of a shame actually that this one wasn't 4K enhanced, because I think this one actually does have the visuals that it would have been appreciated on. But still, for what it is, really good game as far as visuals. Yeah.
Yep. As far as the achievements go, everything is you just get it by playing the game. There's one for launching the game, essentially one for doing each individual puzzle, so 25 there, and then one for finishing all the puzzles. So nothing missable, everything you'll get during the game itself, so you don't need a guide. There's a walkthrough on TA that just essentially has the finished image of what you're making for each country, which I guess would be helpful if you can match up the piece you've got with the picture, but really, you honestly probably better off just doing it and taking that extra time. I mean, I would normally, for a puzzle game, 99 times out of 100, I'd use a guide because I'm just bad at puzzle games. Like, some of the logic required just doesn't go into my head, but this one didn't use a guide and got through it in a little bit under 4 hours. So
yeah, I mean, Glass Masquerade, I think it's amazingly fun, well worth playing without a guide, because honestly, yeah, like you say, the only thing it's going to offer you is a picture of the completed the puzzle, and at that, yeah, some of these times the piece you're given is it's got so much of the other I don't know what you would call it, the metal that would joins the pieces of glass together.
Yeah.
Words can't come to me. But in any case, it's hard to tell what exactly you're holding when you're looking at the puzzle, when you're looking at a picture. But if you go, oh, well, I see a little square shape in this that has to be on a vertical, then you can go and look on that puzzle for that piece. And you're probably easier off doing it like that than you are by trying to look and figure out what each piece is with the finished product. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It at $11, it's probably a little more than I'd want to pay for the completion, but it does go on sale frequently, and it is also available in the Indie Puzzle Bundle Volume 1. Comes with 3 other games, Slayway Camp, Pipe Push Paradise, and Letter Quest. So that might be another route to take as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and Digerati put that kind of stuff on sale fairly often, so maybe look for it on a sale in that bundle, but otherwise I'd probably, pretty much any sale I'd probably take, because it'd be under $10 at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a really fun game. It's a shame there's no real replayability, because I mean, once you've done the puzzle, I suppose you've done the puzzle. If you like doing them again, then you're more than welcome to. But there's no achievements there. There's nothing that's going to kind of pull you to doing it a second time.
Yeah.
So I guess Glass Masquerade, it's kind of a thumbs up from both of us. And yeah, back to the show.
So that was Glass Masquerade. That's a pretty enjoyable game.
I liked it.
Sorry, I was waiting for someone else's comment there. Fine, I'll just run the show myself then. Hooby-dooby-doo. Warren, what have you been playing this week? No, it's too late, Matt.
No, it's fine. That's why I didn't even want to talk about that game that I haven't played yet.
Oh, wow. Well, this week, I played quite a bit, actually. Started through Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm sure Chen will be appreciative of such a game. Spaz picked it up, so therefore I've already gotten a good maybe 10 hours into that. That's going to take some time. Thief of Thieves. The 4th volume is finally out, so if you were previously scared of starting it because of the odd Gamerscore achievements, don't worry. You can actually complete the entire thing now and get a whole 1,000.
Woo!
There's guides up for pretty much everything, and it's a clicky kind of text adventure with some action involved. It's not your typical Telltale. It's different, but it's done by Skybound, so it's kind of similar to the feel of a Telltale game. Anyway, Descenders, which was a new addition to Game Pass, which was like a procedurally generated ride your bike down a hill and don't crash game. Not bad, kind of interesting. It's really repetitive, so the procedural part of it doesn't work so good because every track feels identical to me. And there's broken achievements, so it's kind of a bit of a turnoff. I've recently gone back to Steel Battalion Heavy Armor, which is probably one of the weirdest games you'll ever play. It's a Kinect and controller required game. You use the controller to move your vertical tank, which is a mech, and then you use the Kinect to navigate different parts of your thing, like you closing screens or opening panels in the tank. And it is really awkward because the 360 Kinect does not do an amazing job of fine-tune work. So you're constantly grabbing the wrong thing, which, you know, in combat situations is not amazing. So yeah, there's a lot of death. We played Glass Masquerade, I played Glass Masquerade, which we did in our review, which you just heard. That was really fun. I've never figured playing with stained glass would be as amusing as it was, but hey, it was. Continued working on the Golf Club 2. There's some achievements for earning lots of money and items in-game, which, when you can do that, is by earning money. Therefore, you play courses over and over in tournaments and by trying to finish off course challenges, which are like, finish this hole under par, or reach this green in reg, and stuff like that. So, keeping away on that. I've also gone back to Rabbids Invasion, the interactive TV show, because I guess I've got this Kinect bug again. So I'm trying to finish that up. I'm almost to the end of it, but sort of like Descenders, it is lots of repetition. You get to play the episodes over and over to get coins, to unlock items, and occasionally episodes, which is really what I'm after. So, yeah. Kanan Lynch, Japan, we're still cranking through. Our alliance is still fragile, and we occasionally wander in front of delivery vans and trucks. And we're very well known for making a mess of coffee shops, collecting the money, and running. Hey, that's just what we do. On top of all that, of course, would be my natural 2 for the week of Neverwinter and Elite Dangerous, because those two just never stop giving.
Mm-hmm. Depends
and
what...
all in all, I ended for I don't know how much Gamerscore this week because I don't think I wrote it down.
You got Vamp.
So how about that Neverwinter expansion coming out, Warren? Are you excited for that?
No, not at all.
No, yeah, me neither.
They're raising the level cap and a bunch of other things. The level cap I'm okay with. It's inevitable. The scaling discussions is what has me concerned, because as it is, I play a cleric, and doing lots of amount of damage is not really something clerics are known for. So for them to make a lot of the previous level content that much harder is going to be really difficult. Depending on how bad it is, I may or may not just kind of take a break from the game.
Yeah, no,
because it's just.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask. I know what you mean. Is that going to affect the ring farming? I'm assuming you're still doing a bit of that on your spare time.
I am still farming rings. I'm still down to just 2. I need the Goblin and Dragon Slayer rings. And I can't imagine that's going to scale any, because those are all level 70 plus mobs anyways.
True.
I'm thinking what's going to make it difficult is going to be like things like the... But then again, actually, I'm hearing from people that a lot of the other normal level 70 dungeons are now completely unplayable. So on PC.
Oh.
So we may or may not be in for some rude awakening. I'm not sure.
Oof. Well, I've got that to look forward to.
I think the idea was to make it so that level 70s don't romp through the leveling dungeons with like the newbies kind of hanging in the back going, wait, but I'm still working on this one mob you didn't kill. I think the idea was to stop that kind of stuff, which, okay, I can see them addressing. But the problem is I think it's breaking other things while they fix that one thing.
Yeah, I think they've kind of forgotten the fact that the people who spend the most time in the game are going to be the level 70s.
Well, it's all about getting new players.
Yeah.
That's, I think, really what their push is.
That's true.
And it's telling for us.
How does stopping you getting power leveled by your friend helping new players?
Because it means they actually have to play the game.
Some new players are complaining that they want to enjoy the game and they're not able to play it because we're just romping right through it.
They've clearly never played an MMO before. There's no enjoyment to be had there.
Yeah. I'm very confused by this. If you don't want can you join these dungeons with a random level 70 person? Is that what's happening? Oh, okay. That I can understand.
You do get scaled down, but the thing is your equipment doesn't. So you basically, even if you're level like 6 or whatever, you still have level 70 equipment and you just stomp all over all the enemies.
Oh, and that's really all that matters is the equipment at that point.
Exactly.
Like your level, 1,891.
Okay.
Onwards to the Undermountain. Is everything I'm hearing.
That's underneath was it the Far Deep?
Deep Water.
Deep Water?
Which is, I think Deep Water is sort of near the entrance to the Spine of the World.
Pretty sure it was called Water Deep.
Water Deep? Oh, it probably is Water Deep, damn it. Why do I have to... now I have to look.
I was joking just because we brought it up for 2 episodes in a row now. I figured we'd just make it a trifecta.
Yeah. Water Deep. I'm fairly certain Water Deep is...
Water Deep, known as the City of Splendors or the Crown of North, is indeed part of Forgotten Realms, which is, yes, D&D.
Yeah. And it's basically at the entrance to the... Or beyond that is when you get to the Spine of the World, which is the mountain range that leads to the 10 towns to the north and all the cold stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I know some lore.
Nerds.
Just some. Yeah, see, all mine are from books, not even from playing D&D or something. Not even something cool like playing a game. Just from reading like a nerd.
So I put on your robe and your wizard hat, you get into it.
Alright. I guess I'll talk about my stuff now. So, I was sick Wednesday through Friday, which means I didn't go to work, which usually would mean Xbox party time, lots of fun, good Xbox times, but it actually meant I was genuinely pretty sick and I didn't want to get out of bed and didn't have the energy to go play Xbox, which is crazy, I know. What I did play was Chroma Squad, because it's a turn-based strategy game, and there was no rush for me to make a move when it was my turn. And boy, did I take advantage of that. Because, it's my turn. Oh man, the controller's right next to me. I think I'll just take a nap and get back to this in a minute. Because I was streaming it to my laptop, which was downstairs with me in my room. I did end up finishing the story, and I got one of the 3 endings. I think you have to play through it at least 3 times to get all those endings. I did play it on the easiest difficulty. And there's an achievement for playing it on the hardest difficulty, so I started up a run of that and thought, maybe there's more monsters or something, that's how it'll scale. No, it's you hit way less hard and they hit way harder. And that's, I'm not looking forward to doing it on the hardest difficulty. It's to a point where so you could, once you sort of got mid to end game, most of the normal level mobs you could one hit with your characters, in essentially one attack. It's probably taking 2 or 3 attacks now, and there are requirements in the level to get more cash to be able to upgrade better. But I just am unsure about whether I'm going to be able to hit those requirements to be able to, it's things like keep all your characters above 50% health, which when they're hitting way harder, I'm not 100% sure I can do consistently. But I'm sure eventually I'll stop putting it off and do it in 10 to 15 years' time. When I run out of games to play in my backlog. Yeah. Fun jokes. I dabbled in 2 games for an amount of time that made them mention-worthy on the podcast. I played Evoland Legendary Edition and yesterday's Origins for a reasonable amount of time for the random to-do list. Evoland, I pretty much had to get all of the collectibles of one type of the 2. So I just started over, followed a guide, made sure I got everything as I was going, because I was only about an hour in on my other save. So I didn't lose that much time and I've lost where I was reading in this. Yeah, I didn't lose much time. And then since then, I've basically earned all the achievements except for the final achievement for beating the final boss. Is a real, like, playing through, I was genuinely shocked when you're fighting an earlier phase of the final boss, who's called Zephyros, and he killed Kaeris. And I was just so shocked that he ran his sword through Kaeris and killed her. And then, like, I didn't know what to do, and your character gets really upset. You have to summon Babamoot, the dragon, to temporarily wipe out the final enemy so that he runs away and you can fight him in the next phase. Super original story in this title. I don't know how they come up with this kind of stuff.
Dude, is his next phase a safer phase?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, just mind-bogglingly original story.
Yeah.
The tug on the heartstrings just right, and you have you have your uncle or someone with an airship named Sid, but with an S, not a C. Yep.
So hopefully this is the last fantastic tale that they tell.
Yeah. Except for obviously Evoland 2. So
even more final.
The final.
This time it's finaler.
The most legendary. On the complete other side of the spectrum is Yesterday's Origins. It's probably the worst point-and-click game I've ever played. So instead of, there are some that are different, like the Telltale games, but instead of controlling a cursor, you control your character, much like the Telltale games. To interact with things, you walk up to them and hit A, but you need to make sure you're obviously looking at the item, because that would make sense. It'd be silly to be looking in the opposite direction and interact. Except looking at the item, in this case, means directly at it. And if you're like 1 degree off, you won't be able to interact with the item. The hotspot won't show up at all. You can't click on it. There's no nice little button to show you all hotspots that you can sort of toggle through and just get to the one you want. It's very frustrating. I'd finished the prologue, so I was going from essentially the start of chapter 1, which is probably 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes of playing. I didn't get through chapter 1. I got frustrated and quit probably 20 minutes in, 25 minutes in. It's just so bad that I couldn't do it. The walkthrough on TA is very good though, except for all of the times when you examine something and the left and rights are swapped. Every single time.
Which seems to be indicative of like every walkthrough I've ever used.
Pretty much.
But the other things are fine. Like you say, click on the examine the rightmost statue. That's fine. It is the rightmost. But when you go into examine it and it says things like click on his right cheek, what it's actually doing is you're looking at the statue and it means the cheek on the right as you're looking,
right
which
cheek.
is the statue's left cheek. But by saying his right cheek, I sit there trying to find the hotspot on the statue's right side cheek, as opposed to right from where you're looking at it. And I keep making this mistake, and I feel really dumb doing it, because, I know, it's done it the whole way through so far, but every time I see it, I go, oh, his right side. And I spend, 2 minutes looking for the spot that's on the other side. I'm like, oh, yep, that was dumb. Very frustrating.
It's a real shame, because I actually really like that game. I mean, the gameplay itself is a bit of a mess, but the story is actually really interesting.
It is so far. It's so your character, 500 years ago, did a ritual from someone, and that made him immortal, essentially. You can die, but you will be resurrected or respawn or something without your memories, and it's all about... I don't know what it's about yet. Your girlfriend also has had this ritual, because I think this is not the first title in this series.
It's the original game was just called Yesterday, and it was same developers, but it was a much sort of smaller game.
Mm-hmm. So it's the Deponia model of title releases.
Yep.
But your girlfriend has also had this ritual done, I presume, more recently. Not, 500 years ago when you got it done. And she had in her magical potion mercury, which is the key ingredient to keeping your memories. So every time she dies, she keeps her memories. You didn't have mercury in your potion, so you don't. But in the last game, because it does a quick recap of what happened in the last game, like halfway through the first chapter, you can look on a computer and it'll sort of tell you everything that's happened as you go through. In the last game, you got killed by the bad guy. He drowned you with mercury or something. And that has now started to mean you don't lose all of your memories when you come back. You're starting to remember some things each time you die. So yeah, I want to enjoy this game. I do like the story. I think the story is interesting. I think it's going somewhere. But the gameplay is just so frustrating for me that it's hard for me to get into. So I'll give it another go this weekend and hopefully get a bit further, but far enough that I start to feel compelled to keep playing. But it's just not doing it for me. It's hurting me to play. Hurts my soul. Lastly, I put a little bit of time into Wargroove since it got added to Game Pass. I'm into Act 2 of 7. I think I've done one level in Act 2. Though some of the later acts, like Act 6 and 7, only have a couple missions. It's very well made. It definitely gives me a sort of Fire Emblem Advance Wars vibe with the art style and the combat and all that stuff. Some of the arcade challenges that we've been discussing in the Discord are horribly broken, and because you get a series of essentially 5 missions on 5 random maps that you need to complete. So if you fail one, you go back to the start and the lineup of maps changes again, so you just have to sort of get lucky with getting 5 good maps that you can win, or maps that aren't against your favor, because you have to play on hard, which means that the enemy is getting double the gold resource that you are. So each building gives you 100 gold per turn. You use that to build units. They get 200 gold per turn from their buildings. So it's just an artificial difficulty that when you're on some of the bigger maps, it's stacked against you because you just can't get enough buildings to try and combat that, or you can't win quick enough where that won't have a lasting effect, having that disadvantage. But other than that, like the game itself is good. That's a minor annoyance. But so I've enjoyed that. I've been playing that through Play Anywhere because it allows me to idle things on my Xbox while I play. And I apparently got 4,245 Gamerscore. I don't think this is updated. I feel like it hasn't, because I don't think I did. I really feel like I didn't do 4,000 worth of Gamerscore this week.
Did you play some Ratalaika?
I feel like some of that Ratalaika's stuck around. Having a quick look, I don't know where that's come from.
Wargroove is an interesting one because they actually released a patch, at least I don't know if it was on the Xbox, but on the PC version, because reviewers were complaining that the game was just too hard. So to have the arcade mode still be pretty brutal, I can only imagine what it used to be like.
God, yeah. I mean, I have barely touched it, so I imagine it'll get a lot more frustrating in the campaign missions, but it's good so far, and it's definitely scratching that tactical strategy game itch that I occasionally have, and loved the Advance War game, so this title's right up my alley. Matt, you're last up. Most important, though.
Of
what
course.
Have you been doing?
A few things here and there. It's been a bit of a quiet week for me, to be honest. So last episode, I just ordered my Japanese 360 from a guy down south who was selling his with some games. So that just arrived over the weekend. So I've been getting into the Japanese side of video games, which apparently is visual novels. And a lot of characters. I think I played 5 different visual novels over the weekend. I finished all 5 of them. And the characters look very similar. Like there's a lot of similar art between them, almost like they were copied and pasted. And the best thing about understanding a tiny bit of Japanese is that I can point to all the characters and say, hey, I know that character. I can translate that. And then I have no idea what it actually says. But I'm like, well, at least I can say it out loud. So I've got that going for me.
Which was your favorite story?
Okay. What was the... I'm just going to say Ever 17 or whatever it was. The one in the underwater lab facility with holograms and stuff. I don't know. I kind of pieced the story together just from context clues. It was like watching a foreign film without subtitles. It was great. I really felt like it. I really feel like I've been missing out all these years having not played these wonderful titles. I also got a couple of games like Just Cause 2 and Bioshock Japanese, and then I'm going to be on the lookout for a few more Japanese games as it comes. I've also got Gears of War 2 Japan, but I don't know if I'm going to start that. We'll see.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, if I figured Warren would be on the peer pressure side of things.
I have it, we might as well play it.
You have to find someone else to kill 10,000 times, or?
Pretty much.
Oh, Gears 2, you can use Brumox, so you don't have to do people.
True, but you still have to. You still have to complete all 29 all 50 waves of all 29 maps. So that would be
the ranking at least is easy.
Oh, okay.
The level, the achievements are different on Gears 2. It's a lot of multiplayer rank achievements and different stuff.
Right, yeah, I haven't had too much of a look at it, although Yoda's been trying to convince me to play it with him and you and Frank and whoever we can get on board, I suppose. So we'll see how I go with that. Yeah, you know, they're not going to peer pressure me into doing Ken and Lynch, though. There's no way.
We actually have a group of 4 going through Kane and Lynch, but I mean, if you want to be our 5th, you know, you're more than welcome to jump in for those.
Yeah, we can work on those leaderboard achievements. Looking forward to that.
No, we're not going for the leaderboards.
So I also finished up Pillars of Earth, which I mentioned last week. Still really, really good, but I really feel like the actual game part let it down in the same way that a lot of Telltale games sometimes feels like the actual having to play the video game part is kind of the weakest part of the video game. But there are certain parts where you're traveling between locations that they obviously didn't want to draw for 5 seconds, so they just do like still images with like a choose your own adventure. You know, you come across this scenario, what do you want to do, sort of thing. And those are actually some of the best writing, some of the most interesting parts, especially in the last chapter. The last book. There's some really, really good stuff. And also, you know, the story is actually surprisingly good. It has a lot of twists and turns, and I'd say maybe it's a little bit trite, but it's, you know, it's kind of what you'd expect. But I'm probably going to check out the books now that I've finished it. But yeah, definitely worth a playthrough, and it's relatively quick as well. There's only one little achievement there's only sort of one branching path achievement in the first book that you can get in another 30-40 minutes that I just did. I've also been playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I grabbed the season pass last week in last week's sale. So that comes with 7 different DLC tombs with little sort of like side quests they just bolt onto the main game. And it's actually pretty good. It's kind of sort of perfect bite-sized content for that sort of game where adding more story doesn't really make a lot of sense unless they sort of do some sequel baiting. But having just sort of interesting tombs that you just happen to stumble across, or sort of like mini side quests to collect artifacts that just happen to be relevant to the story now. Yeah, it's really, really fun, and the tombs really are the best part of that game anyway. I'm not so much a fan of them putting the score attack and time attack modes back in there to do in the tombs, but most of them are pretty easy. There's only been 1 or 2 that I've been having trouble with, that I'm sure most people playing through it probably have trouble with the main ones as well. They did do an interesting thing with the last DLC, though, is that the last DLC tomb is only available if you buy the season pass, which I'm not really sure why they would have done that. But I don't know.
I mean, we know why.
Okay, yeah, sure. We know actually why, but it really feels like
why
why not just make it available? I mean, they may make it available at some stage later down the line, but one of the achievements in there, you have to have all the other DLC to get. So maybe that's the reason you have to do all 7 tombs. But yes, I'll probably try and finish that up this week. But otherwise, it's been pretty quiet. Just a lot of sitting in front of my TV, holding down the right trigger to skip through dialogue. Spasmoding it, as it
The
were.
fun of visual novels, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Rubber bands come in handy for that, too.
So that was me for the week. My game score, I don't know the exact number, but it was somewhere over 5,500 thanks to all those wonderful visual novels. But which, I mean, it almost feels like cheating, to be honest. But hey, I'll take it where I can get it.
Yep. Where did you use the guides from? Are they on True Achievements or are they on the Xbox A?
There's a few different ones. So there was a couple on True Achievements that I used, but most of the Xbox A ones were pretty good. The only problem was that guest of the show Sangria wrote quite a few of them, which is very, very helpful.
Yeah.
But a lot of they're written back in sort of 2011, 2012, and a lot of the images that they use for screenshots aren't hosted anymore. So I kind of had to dig around and try and translate settings options and that kind of stuff, which was, that was most of my week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
it's the unfortunate thing with that, because I know we had some stuff on True Achievements as well that were like Imager or some similar based and
Photo Bucket or Flickr or whatever.
Game box art and stuff that died recently, and we're like, oh well, we better figure out where we've got it from and put it somewhere where it won't get killed off.
Yeah, exactly.
So like a 3-year untouched, it just gets cold or something.
And just a shout out to anyone who's interested in doing some trades or want to talk about some Japanese games. Let me know. I've got the visual novel. I got the visual novel bug, so now I gotta play all of them.
I'll show you my collection that I haven't touched because I don't have a power cord later. Need a power cord.
I'll lend you.
No, I can't.
I'll lend you a power cord, Jin. I'll see you at PAX.
Last time it happened, it didn't work.
Well, bring the Xbox with you then, just so we can test it out. We won't go to the convention. We'll just play visual novel games.
Yeah. We'll have to talk about PAX. I might extend my dates and be down there a little earlier. Alright. Sales. Big sales this week, or at least lots of things on sale. Combined with some of last week's sales that haven't ended yet because they were publisher sales or the add-on sales that I think are still going, or maybe not, and I'm talking crazy talk. They might be going, they might not. You'll find out. I doubt they're still going by the time you hear this, but hey. This week's sales has a lot of stuff, though. There's a lot of titles that we couldn't put in these categories because they're not really quick or easy, but are still good. Like, so a lot of the Kemco JRPG titles are not quite quick. They're relatively easy, but they're grindy as all get out, so they don't really fit into the easy points because we kind of cap that at like a weekend's worth of playing. But anyway, quick points. The first 5 have a caveat of they could be quick for you. They might be not quick because it's kind of a little bit odd. 5 ACA Neo Geo games are all 50% off, putting them at $3.99. Baseball Stars Professional Metal Slug 2, which would have been Alex's recommendation if he was here, but he's not, so we don't care. Robo Army and Samurai Showdown 3 and King of Fighters 96. So those 5 are on sale. They all have low ratios, but that could be misleading. I don't personally know whether they're easy, but they seem to be easy according to the ratios, and they're all estimated as less than 2 hours. So, same caveat again for these next 4 games. Games in the Arcade Game Series that are all 50% off and $1.99. Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, and Dig Dug. They're arcade games. They might be difficult if you didn't play them if you don't have that arcade ability like I don't. And boy, did I struggle with Pac-Man.
Me too.
The patterns that people innately have and know that if I go this way, things will work out. I was scrambling. Did not work out well for me. Black the Fall is 50% off, $7.49. Blackwood Crossing, 40% off, $9.59. Hyper Jam, 25% off, $11.24. This one for at least one achievement, it will require 4 controllers. It's a sort of arena-based shooter or a top-down shooter those single map contest against local multiplayer type deals. I don't believe it has online online multiplayer, but I could be wrong. So you're likely to need 4 controllers for at least one of the achievements, and probably to make the others easier. Monopoly Plus is 70% off, $4.49. The Video Kid is 30% off, $3.49. Moving on to Easy Points. Agatha Christie, The ABC Murders is 70% off, $5.99. Oh, you put this in there, Matt. You've played this?
I have, actually. It's an alright game.
It's easy.
Yeah.
It's not
Man, is it slow.
It's real slow. Yeah, it's a slog. But, it's a murder mystery, and it's if you like the sort of Agatha Christie...
It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's fine. I've definitely played worse. It's no Pimp My Ride.
No, I really need to complete that. I think I've done the first world of 3 or whatever, but that's not a bad game. Don't you be throwing shade at Pimp My Ride. All right?
Yo, dog, I heard you like video games, so we put video games in your video games.
It's great. It's a great game. First time I played it, I had no idea what was going on. It was thoroughly confusing. Found a good couple image walkthrough type deals and golden. Guns, Gore, and Cannoli is 50% off, $4.99. Guns, Gore, and Cannoli 2 is 40% off, $7.79. That one's much easier than the first, from what I'm aware.
Yeah, the first one's not overly difficult. There's some tricks and stuff that can make it a lot easier, but the second one is much, much easier, yeah.
Yep, okay, I might have to pick that up. Oh My Godheads is 75% off, $3.74. Tembo the Badass Elephant is 60% off, $5.99. Now, normally this wouldn't get in our list because it has a high ratio. That's probably misleading, I assume, because you put this in there.
Yeah, no, I did. It's actually not that difficult a game. There are a couple of little tricky points, but honestly, I ran through it and I was a little bit worried, but reading the achievements, reading through the guides, everything's pretty simple for the most part.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a grind, but nothing major at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And high being more than 2, not, a 7 or something.
Exactly.
It's not, high, but it's just higher than I would normally include without prior knowledge. So, yeah, good to know. I think I own that, which is good. I mean, the same could be said for everything on this list, but Get Even, 75% off, $7.49. Good walkthrough. TA has the walkthrough, or somewhere else?
I think TA has the walkthrough, yeah. It's pretty good. You do need to have 2 playthroughs, but it is actually quite an interesting game. A little bit buggy, a little bit janky around the corners, but worth playing for sure.
Yep. Cronus Arc, 30% off, $10.49. The quickest of the Kemco titles. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I got the completion and then played probably 20 or 30 hours after it just to maximize my weapons and my skills and everything. I wanted to keep going beyond the completion, so that says a lot, because everyone who knows me knows I'd complete and delete, so it's good. It's good, isn't it?
Love and leave them.
Demetrios. And I'm pretty sure all the Kemco games are play anywhere as well, so that's an added bonus. Just be careful if you're swapping back and forth between the Xbox and the PC, because I think sometimes saves get wiped. Demetrios: The Big Cynical Adventure, 70% off, $2.99. Fear Effect Sedna, 85% off, $2.99. I was very disappointed when I played, I bought this and played it, and it wasn't like a fear game. I was like, I thought it was, they had the fear files or whatever. It was kind of named differently but still the same thing. I was like, oh, cool, this would be... Just bought it without looking into it and then played it. I'm like, this is not at all what I was expecting. It's not bad. It's just definitely not like a fear title.
You should definitely check out the original on the PlayStation 2, I think it was. It was one of their sort of early polygon, high-res polygon games. It was also a very different kind of game. I think their main marketing message was that they had lesbian protagonists. I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, there you go. You actually have a PlayStation 2. Man, you could kill a man with that thing.
It's under my desk. Very easily. I have 2 whole memory cards as well.
Whoa. Man, that belongs in a
I don't know
museum.
where
I'm
the other
surprised
one came
Indiana
from,
Jones
though.
isn't swinging through your window and taking them.
Ryan Smith. Who's Ryan Smith? Why do I have his memory card?
Ryan, if you're listening to this, we
That's
have
a PlayStation
found your
1
memory
memory card.
card.
There won't be anything left
Yeah,
on it
if you
because he's
hear
obviously
this-
overwritten everything, but...
Probably. Okay. Moving on to less tangential things. Murdered Soul Suspect is 85% off, $3. Very good. Bit of a collectathon. Still a good game. That was probably one of the first quote-unquote scary games I played on the Xbox. That I had to play in the daytime with all the window blinds open so that as much light as possible got in.
I mean, I
It's
guess,
bad
yeah,
with
when
these
those
games.
ghosts are chasing you, it
Spooky.
gets a little hectic.
Gets tense. It's not sort of scary, but it's that tense that I didn't like in the dark. So I was
Yeah.
like, nope, playing this in the daytime.
I got really scared when I got to the point of no return and I realized I'd missed a collectible. That was actually absolutely terrifying.
Oh, that's good. Okay, Seasons After Fall, 75% off, $4.99. Uno on the Xbox One, no vision camera required. Apparently you can use your Kinect somehow. I don't know how, because I don't have one. Apparently you can get a Kinect hooked up to do something with the Xbox One Uno. Don't.
The less said about Strip Uno, the better.
Yeah, that's 50% off, $4.99. Yet another Zombie Defense HD. So not the plain version, this is the HD version. Alright. 33% off, $3.34. And Trivial Pursuit Live is 60% off, $5.99. So if you managed to make it through all those prices and you picked out the one thing you wanted and then were like, I need to remember this one, and didn't listen to anything else, good for you. I'm proud you found something. Host recommendations. If there's anything you should listen to, it's these. Stuff everything else we just said. These are what matter. Matt, what do you think everyone should buy?
I think everyone should pick up the Naruto Ultimate Storm Ninja Trilogy. It's 50% off. It comes with the first 3 Ninja Storm games, which is especially good because the first one didn't actually end up coming out on the Xbox originally. So this is the first time you can actually play it on an Xbox. They're all pretty good games. 1 and 3 are relatively quick. 2 has a little bit of an online grind, but I think they're all pretty fun. I mean, especially if you're into the series, it basically runs through the best parts of it without any of the filler, which is nice. Oh, there you go. Chin has the... oh, wow. Actually, the original.
PlayStation 3. Yep.
Wow.
Steelbook. I think I got this in the US because I was really not sure about because it's T for teen. I was like, I'm really not sure if the PlayStation is region free. They keep telling me it is, but I don't know if it is. And it was.
And as usual, I have been outweaved, even though I'm the one recommending the Naruto game. But yeah, I would definitely say pick it up. It's good fun, and the second one especially is probably my favorite. Mainly because it ends where the anime should have ended, but I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah, let's not make this show take another 4 hours. Now open up this thing of all my games. I should stop now and talk about the games rather than looking about what I used to own and play.
Yeah, Chin, come back to us from the nostalgia closet.
I think everyone should buy Battle Chasers Night War. It's 75% off, it's $7.49. It's, in my opinion, probably the best turn-based RPG of the decade.
Wow.
Now, I don't necessarily know lots of turn-based, or have played lots of turn-based RPGs in this decade, but even from what I hear from other people, as a turn-based RPG, this does it right. The character design is unique, the attacks and the battle system itself works really well and adds to the world of the game. So everything is adding to your universe and your lore, and it just works well. It's a reasonable, you get value for money in it. I think it's like I want to say 40 to 60 for a completion, but That's off the top of my head, so I don't remember exactly.
I've seen predictions be a little longer than that, but you could probably get through it in that, I think.
Probably 60 to 80.
60 to 80 is probably closer, yeah.
Yeah, but it's still well worth your money. Plenty of fun. Great game. Warren.
I'm going to say Valentino Rossi the game. It's been on sale a couple times, but for 75% off, $4.99, might as well snag another racer while it's on sale.
All right. In terms of Game Master. In terms of buying stuff, what are you going to buy, Matt?
So I'm going to grab Gore Guns and Cannoli 2, I think. Actually, I've already done at this point. Looks pretty good. I really enjoyed the first one, so definitely going to play the second one. And then also some of the discussions. I think I might grab Trivial Pursuit, maybe some of those Chemco games, unless someone I game share with is suddenly big into RPGs and really wants to pick them up for me. Brad, just in case you're listening.
Oh, he's listening.
He better be listening.
You know what you need to do, Brad. Okay. As for myself, I've spent a lot of money in this sale. I took the plunge. I'm like, every couple of months or so, I do a big splurge and sort of buy a bunch of titles I might not normally that are on sale for, some things are 50% off. I might have normally waited for a price drop and then a sale. So, this is my splurge sale week. So I bought a bunch of the JRPG titles. Valkyria Chronicles 4, Valkyria Revolution, the Sword Art Online game and DLC. I got the DLC for Everspace. I got all of the Chemco titles that I was missing from this sale, which I think was 3 of them. Of the 5 that are on sale, I think I was missing 3, so I got them. I got some of the cheaper titles as well. What else? I got Plague Road, which is 85% off, and if I wasn't recommending Battle Chasers, I would recommend that, because 85% off a $20 game that really shouldn't be $20, and that's what's putting off most people. That's crazy. Get that.
Yeah, it's steal.
That's a very good price sale. And then I topped off my, not in a sale, I topped off my roguelite collection, so I picked up the missing roguelite titles that I don't own yet, which was Dragon Fangs, which is the mystery dungeon game that came out last week. I got Remy Law for $51.
Oof. Yikes, buddy.
Yeah. Even in US, it's like $40.
Making up that money that you saved on Plague Road.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that one hurt. I know. I can't wait for it to be on sale next week for half off, because of course it would. But no, I spent a lot of stuff. My game share partner is probably going to play none of it, and deservedly she shouldn't, because man, it's weeby.
Half off. Hell, that's going to be Games with Gold next month.
Oh God, no.
Oh, we can only hope.
It's my Ni no Kuni. Oh. That's weeb. That's Studio Ghibli doing a game for 3-year-olds. Unrelated. Yeah, I bought a lot, and I'll regret it next week.
It sounds like you're regretting it now.
Yeah.
Well, I think I need to do another dive this weekend. I think I've now built up too many unstarted games that.
Well, this close to the bean dive, you're gonna do a manual.
When is the bean dive?
July 6th, 7th? I forget.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say 7th.
Yeah, Chen, you could hold out for that. There'll probably be another 3 sales. You could buy a bunch of stuff, and you might even be the top person.
I won't be the top person, but I will wait for the bean dive. I will wait, because...
No, there's someone who makes, like, a bunch of bean dive accounts and goes and just, like, dives a ton of games every year.
Well, I don't know if that person's going to do it this year, but they have an account that has completed Avatar: The Burning Earth and then dives Halo MCC.
Perfect.
They may or may not have been a host on the show.
Right.
So I don't know if they'll be doing that this year. I'm sure they have the account, Bean Dive 2019, ready to go, but it's just whether or not they do it this year. Okay, I guess I'll wait.
They could double it up. They could do MCC and like a Minecraft or something else. Just
Rare replay.
Step it up a notch. Rare replay. Yep.
Yeah, make it ridiculous.
Not Mortal Kombat. Killer Instinct. Yeah. FF7.
Yeah. 3-disc game.
Wait.
Yep.
Wait a minute. That doesn't have achievements.
Not yet.
No. No, not this one. I have the one that does have achievements.
What about you, Warren? What are you picking up?
I'm thinking I'm probably going to end up grabbing that Valentina Rossi game, because I don't own it yet, and probably the Agatha Christie Murders, because that's a good price for it. I don't remember seeing it that cheap.
Then you just love Poirot's mustache.
Gotta love a good mustache.
Poirot. Oh. Now that's a game that they should bring, that Square Enix need to bring back onto some kind of real console. Third Birthday.
Chrono Cross.
Oh, Parasite Eve.
Yeah.
Parasite Eve. Oh.
They need to bring that on.
Didn't they do a Kickstarter for that?
Xbox. Probably.
I think I heard something about that.
They need to bring that to Xbox.
But those are great for nostalgia games. What's coming in for new games?
Thank you, Warren. Because I can't. I'm like a goldfish. I just stop paying attention.
Conductor Warren is trying
games.
to get this train back on the tracks.
We're only at 2 hours of recording. It's fine. No, for me, for no one else is it fine. Wednesday, Undead Horde is coming out. That's a real-time strategy type game. Kind of looks like a mix between a twin-stick shooter and an RTS. More like a top-down. What's that one where you have little minions?
Overlord.
Overlord?
Yep. Overlord.
Yeah, kind of like a more top-down Overlord, as opposed to like a StarCraft RTS.
Is it going to win the award for the most generic name of the year?
Looking at the rest of this list, yeah, probably. Yeah. Or I don't know. There's another title here that might take it away. So also is Feudal Alloy, which I know nothing about. Seems to be an action RPG apparently. Can't get enough of those. Devious Dungeon 2, which is the new Ratalaika title. Roguelite platformer. I'll be playing that. Add that to my roguelite completion list. Thursday, the Castlevania Anniversary Collection. I thought we said no nostalgia. What is this nonsense?
There's even more coming up.
Yeah, it keeps going.
Just as either of you interested in the Castlevania collection?
I think I like the idea of playing it more than I will actually play it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I love Symphony of the Night and I like old Castlevania, but actually going back and trying to play them again is probably just going to make me want to throw my controller.
It's like, oh, it's cool that they've done this, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
This is not my cool. Yeah, Warren?
Nope, likewise.
Yeah.
It's a good memory.
Okay. The real winner for most generic title is Darkwood. Comes out on Friday. It's a slight angle top-down survival horror. Early reviews on Steam have said it is very tense. It's very atmospheric. It is, scary because of those things. So I guess if you're into that kind of game, it's probably going to be good for you. Not for me. Nope. This is a no-go zone. Don't let that game touch my body. No. No. It's not happening. Dragon's Lair Trilogy comes out on Friday as well, which is not Dragon's Lair Trilogy. It's Dragon's Lair 1 and 2 and then Space Ace.
Yep. Which is weird because there is a Dragon Lairs 3 that they could have added.
Yeah. So, that's a thing they did. I get that it's basically the same game in a different theme, but still weird that they did that.
Hopefully the achievements are easy.
Anyway. Yeah, it does look like. I think we have 4 completions already.
Oh, excellent.
So out of 7 starters or 8 starters, so yeah, easy enough. Steel Rats.
Well, at least they didn't throw their Forza Street game in.
Enough. We don't need to talk about that, okay? There's enough discussion on the site about Forza Street, all right? That we're both involved in. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Nor which series it does or does not belong in. Steel Rats comes out on Friday, everyone. Steel Rats. I know one person who is excited about that.
Is it like new Ratalaika? Or?
No, I don't know what it is. Steel Rat. While I look that up, I'm also going to say that on Tuesday we get Vision Superstar X, which is supposed to be a roguelite shmup. I only did one run through so far, and so obviously I haven't seen any roguelite because I haven't done a second one to see if it's random, but it's a weird shmup. You have 4 crew slots, and you have 4 different crew member types that can go in this. So there's like an engineer, a scientist, whatever. And each slot then controls one of the turrets on your ship. So obviously the more crew members, the more turrets you have active, and the less blind spots you have. Because if the turret can't swivel around, beyond looking sort of left and right, and it's on the top front of the ship, it obviously can't shoot anything that's on the back left from where your ship is facing. So that's kind of an interesting mechanic that it sort of forces you to move so that your ship can see the thing it's firing at, but then that forces you into bullets, so it's a little bit... It's odd.
So it's basically Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time Polygamy Edition.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not a bad description. This trailer's showing me nothing for Steel Rats. It has motorcycles, and you kind of... it's a sort of like a left to right platformer game with combat on motorcycles.
Oh, okay. I remember hearing about this on Carnage's feed then. He was referencing it as being kind of similar to Trials in the driving
part
sense. Yeah.
But then with combat.
Yep.
Okay. Sure. Why not? And also on Tuesday is Team Sonic Racing.
So that's
You make a movie about Sonic.
Yeah, that's the Team Sonic Racing. That's the team that are racing to fix Sonic's face in the movie.
Probably, yeah.
There's nothing... No. Hold up.
I mean, I'd play that video game.
With his face, all right? There's nothing wrong with his face. It's his creepy hands and fingernails.
Did Detective Pikachu tell you this?
No. He's got creepy hands and fingernails. There's a reason he should be wearing gloves, and it's because no one wants to see his creepy hands and fingernails.
I mean, he also has human teeth. I mean,
and human teeth. Yeah, that's messed up as well. But
there's a reason he never smiles in the games like that, because that would be scary.
He shouldn't have human teeth. He should have little gnashy teeth, not
hedgehoggy teeth.
That's okay. I'm waiting. I'm waiting at the end when Nick Fury shows up and to bring him into the Smash Brothers initiative.
Oh, well, that was talked about in another in the AH Discord just kind of briefly, because Detective Pikachu has 8, 9 different Smash characters, and it's that same the Pokemon are the same kind of art style as Sonic, so there could be a Smash Brothers initiative.
That's right.
We don't know.
We just need to get Bob Hoskins back to do the Mario movie again, and we should be good.
Oh, yeah, we don't want that. That's not a thing we want at all.
I love the 90s.
No, we need to redo the Doom movie.
Actually, you know what?
Doom was...
You just basically put that first person part on a loop for like an hour and a half, and that's basically the best part of the movie.
We could do a Telltale Walking Dead movie where you just shoot arrows at a target.
Oh, I see you watched the review on YouTube. See, for no one who understands that, is you just go watch the Telltale Walking Dead review. There'll be no spoilers. Just watch it for, honestly, 60 seconds. You'll have looped it twice, so that's fine. It's I tried really hard to find non-spoilery sort of video content, And I was like, you know what? This will do. It's an interesting watch. I presume you haven't seen it, Matt.
No, I haven't. But I mean, I haven't played through the game yet either. So,
Oh, it's alright. Just watch that. Nothing will be spoiled. You don't even have to have the volume on. Mute it if you don't want to hear us. Just watch 30 seconds of it. It's brilliant gameplay. It really is.
putting all your audio editing skills into video editing as well.
Yep. It's the best video I could find. Knobs and discos, unobtainable and discontinued achievements conversation. We have 3 games who have had stuff fixed or broken. Actually, all of these have been fixed. I don't talk about the broken one. What was the broken one? The unexplored, unlocked edition or whatever. That one we did a review on, Warren. The roguelite.
There's a broken achievements now, or
one of them has unobtainable. Like I said, like 3 people have played it, 2 of them on this podcast, so it doesn't really matter.
To go where no gamer has gone before.
Train Sim
Quantum
World.
Rush champions.
You all love trains, right? Choo choo.
Yep.
This is a Dovetail game, so if you like DLC, this is the game you want. 2 unobtainable achievements in the game are now fixed and obtainable. They're for completing all services in the NEC Northeast Corridor DLC pack and the Rapid Transit DLC pack. So now all of the achievements are earnable, but they've probably got another 4 or 5 DLCs planned, so don't get too excited. Actung Cthulhu Tactics had one of its 2 unobtainables fixed for using all items in a mission. The only achievement left that is still unobtainable is the Get All Other Achievements achievement. Whether that's actually unobtainable or just it's either like stuck somehow or not tested by someone who has the rest of them and just needs to get this last one. I don't know. Hopefully we'll know in the next couple of days, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was still broken. Defiance 2050 had 2 of its unobtainables removed for earning 50 perks and for capturing 50 points in PvP. It still has 3 unobtainables left. The Get All Achievements achievement, maxing out reputation with 1 faction, and maxing out reputation with 4 factions. Both of those reputation achievements have rarity diamonds. So, and they do take, I think they're like 4 or 5 weeks for a faction, just of doing dailies and stuff. So it could just be that no one on TA continued to play it because they were broken still and they actually work and just no one on TA has earned them, or a dev has done something on a dev build and it's worked and a fix will be coming soon. Hopefully it's the former, otherwise it could be months before the latter happens. Alright, and that's everything that's broken or fixed. Mostly fixed this time, only a little bit broken. We have milestones. We don't have many milestones, so I'll stop talking for a minute. And Warren, do you want to read these out, please?
Sure.
I was waiting for that.
Peru.
No, I can't. I don't have them up.
No, yeah, I can't. I'm sorry, I don't have. No, I do. Peru has reached a new milestone of 19,000 achievements won. Hatton 90 has reached a milestone of 50,000 Gamerscore. Secular Forever. Yeah, these are not in order. Whoops. Secular Forever has reached a new milestone of 27,000 achievements won. Jimbot UK has completed his 400th game. And Thrash Forever has reached a completion percentage of 85%.
I'm fairly certain Thrash has over 1 million Gamerscore as well, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I know you're
really
higher, Matt, but you're not quite at 1 million.
Yeah,
percentage-wise, you're higher, but
yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I'm at 91.9. I was looking at it right now. I need 18 more achievements to hit 92%. So I'm hoping to do that soon.
Oh, and you'll definitely probably get a mention on the podcast. I think above 90, every percentage gets mentioned.
Oh, that's always nice to hear.
I think. Yeah. No, they're in chronological order, Warren. The best order.
Oh, that's the order. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Time is still linear.
They're in X order. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. I think they're in chronological. I may have gone backwards. They may be in reverse chronological.
Which is still a form of chronological order.
Yeah. All right, that's pretty much episode 41. If you would like to contact the show, you can send an email to hello@realgamerscore.com. Honestly, I don't even think the email works, to be honest. I don't think anyone's ever emailed. I'm certain they're bouncing back every single time. That's definitely what happened, because we would just be flooded with emails for certain, but they're all getting bounced back for some reason. I'll have to look into why that email doesn't work. Because we've got
You must be writing Hello Kitty and not just hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we need to be more controversial and out there on the show. Just have more opinions so people come to fight us.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I've just been thrown off completely by something. Never mind. Sorry. What a surprise. I got distracted.
Choo-choo!
If you'd like to contact us on Twitter, you can hit us up at RealGamerscore. If you would like to join our Discord, as I mentioned at the start of the show, discord.io/RealGamerscore. If this episode has encouraged you to contribute to us in Patreon, patreon.com/RealGamerscore, leave a note as to why, because, I mean, anytime I run a show, things are not going well. But if that's what you want, we will definitely make sure it happens more. So, you tell us what you want. You're the one paying us. You can write at any of those contact points, especially Patreon. You can write in questions to the show, and we'll make sure they get asked. You probably just have to attach like $2 to that Patreon question, just to make sure we see it. Is all, I'm
So
pretty sure that's how
I think
that
Shin
works,
meant $5. That's fine. We can edit that out, right?
Yeah, look, we only have prizes for $10. If you want to give more, Patreon will let you. You just won't get any more benefits. There's nothing stopping you giving us like $80 a month. You just won't get any more benefits than the $10 person.
I mean, there's probably plenty of
It's up
things
to
stopping you from doing it, but just not the system.
Yeah, exactly. Like wanting to live, food bills,
Common sense.
electricity. Those things aren't important, though.
Loot boxes.
What's important is keeping my electricity running. Yeah? Yours is definitely less important than mine. If you want to be on the show, and fingers crossed you get an episode that Alex is not on, contact Alex. Send him... Discord is usually a bit easier because he can send some audio files, but True Achievements works as well. He's at Professor Pluto. Send some audio, show your interest in being on the episode. Don't send it to me because I forget. Like, it's not that I don't want you on the show.
Professor Pluto 1. Pluto 1 is his mixer thing. That just confuses everyone.
Twitch. It's Twitch.
See?
Yeah.
I'm confused already.
Contact both Professor Pluto and Professor Pluto 1. If you get a bounce back, it means he didn't want to read your message. Keep sending it. Distracted. Yeah, it's not that I don't want you on the episode when you message me and say, hey, I'd like to be on the episode. It's that I go, yeah, sure. And then I look away from the message and it's wiped from my memory. It's not you, it's me. I do that in real life too. I'll get a message from like, it's my sister. She wants to do something. And I go, I'm right in the middle of this video game. I'll text her back in 5 minutes. And then like 3 weeks later, she goes, you never contacted me. What's going on? I'm like, oh, right. I meant to do that. I'll do that in a minute. And so on and so forth. Till we end up just seeing each other in person.
Yeah.
Because that's how I operate.
Hey, Chin, speaking of distractions, I think we're supposed to be wrapping up the podcast.
Right. Yeah. Cheers. We do individual contacts after I go through all this spiel. Okay, if you would like to help the podcast outside of a monetary donation, you can subscribe to us on iTunes or whatever podcast platform you're listening to, whether that be Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Get our iHeartRadio subs up. I think we have one. I mean, send me a message if you sub on iHeartRadio because I want to know if we have more than one. Pretty sure it's just one, though. Whatever platform you're on, Podbeans, the generic Apple podcast thing, leave a review. It not only does it bump our visibility up on all your podcast apps, it's nice for us to read. We get a good feeling inside when we know entertaining at least one person. Tell your friends, tell your family. Just, get the word out. Word of mouth is really important in podcasting. I will endeavor to be better at doing the advertising as well, and like Twitter and stuff. Speaking of Twitter, retweet us on Twitter when we sort of do this. We put out a new episode, as we get Spreaker to do automatically, because God knows I don't know how Twitter works. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well. All our reviews go up on YouTube most of our reviews go up on YouTube with video footage. I won't say all, because I know I forget sometimes. The majority of them go up with video footage, and it adds to the review when you can actually sort of see the type of game that is being played. And as mentioned earlier, Patreon. It's great. We love it. You love it. I pretend to get your rewards out on time. You pretend to put up with me. It's great. Matt, if people wanted to get in contact with you and sort of give you condolences for having to put up with this nonsense and drivel, how would they do that?
So if you have any complaints about my behavior on the show, please send them to Professor Pluto at realgamerscore.com. Otherwise, you can find me on Discord at Neomaster, or on True Achievements at Neomaster, or just hit me up on Xbox Live. As much as I joke, I do like to hear from people, so if you do want to hang out, play something, let me know. And we'll boost some achievements and ruin everyone else's day.
Boosting achievements sounds like ruining your own day.
True.
Having to play multiplayer. Anyway, Warren, how can people contact you?
Best way to hit me up would be on True Achievements, although you can also reach me on Xbox Live or on Discord. Probably the best places overall to catch me. All of them, I'm planting 42, because, that's the best I can come up with.
Look, it's so much easier when it's just one name. It'd be crazy to have multiple names. Any person that do that would just be ridiculous if they had multiple accounts that are kind of close to their name. You can find me at ChinDocta on Twitter, or on Xbox Live, or on True Achievements, or Discord, or watch my Mixer streams that don't happen, all at ChinDocta, as I said before, ChinDocta. And that's going to be episode 41. We didn't go too long. This is definitely not the longest episode we've done, but we gave it a good go. See, Alex complains about how long we go, but last week he was on the show running it to 2.5 hours, longest episode ever. Clearly not my fault. But anyway, episode 41 done and dusted. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining our ramblings. Hopefully you'll listen to us next week. Bye, guys.
See you later.
Peace.